Hi guys, this is Luke, and I'm here at the official Django documentation where we can see some informations that from Django 3.0 we have now asynchronous support, and from Django 3.1 we have async views. So this is exactly what we will be talking about today. We will create a new Django 3.1 project in order to understand how async views work, what are the benefits of using async views over ordinary views, and we will do it on some very simple examples, so at the end of the video you will have a better feeling on this particular topic. One thing that I would like to mention before we get started is that I would highly recommend to read this documentation. As you can see, it's not very long, probably one cup of coffee, 15 minutes, and you will be done with it. And the second thing is that this isn't a async IO tutorial, so I won't be deeply covering such topics as coroutines or event loops. If you would like to find out more on async IO, I would highly recommend you go through the official async IO documentation. But this isn't mandatory for this particular video. You will be able to follow along without having the knowledge on async IO. Alright guys, so with that being said, let's get started. Alright guys, so before we actually get started, as usual, let's have a look at what have I done so far, but with one major difference. This project is on GitHub, so I use your advice. Thank you for this and other popular, and I'm using here with my fingers the quotation marks when I say popular. Popular videos on my channel will be uploaded within days, probably by the end of the week. All of them or most of them will be uploaded to GitHub, and of course I will paste the links underneath the description of those particular videos. Okay, let's move on. So I created a async project. This is a project that uses the version of Django 3.1, and here we have two applications, movies and stories, and I added stories and movies to the installed apps list. So besides of that, I haven't done anything over here. Okay, so in the URLs py I haven't done anything as well. I just basically worked with the models py and the admin py for the movies and the stories. So we have very simple models. For the movies, one field, name, and this is a char field with the string representation of self name. And for the stories, the same thing, one field, models char field, string representation self name, and this is basically it. Both of them are registered in the admin, so we can now take a look at what's over there. And I basically created two movie objects and two story objects. Okay, so here we have in the movies we have Lord of the Rings and Interstellar, and in stories we have Snow White and Seven Dwarfs and Beauty and the Beast. Alright, and this is basically it. So the next thing that I'm going to do is to head over to the main project folder, and here I'm going to create a views py file. Views py, okay, and I'm going to begin by defining a home view. So let's write def home view, and this will take in a request, and let's return, and I'm going to import HTTP response. So from Django HTTP we want to import HTTP response, and here I'm going to return HTTP response with hello world. Alright, so this is going to be the first view that we are going to use, and then we are going to have let's call it maybe a main view and a main async view. So we are going to define them in just a second. For now, I'm going to write them down. So we'll have main view, and this is going to be a synchronous ordinary view, let's call it like that, and it will take a request. And for now, I'm going to write down pass, and we will have a def main view async, and this will also take in a request, and we will change this function view a little bit later. And for now, I'm going to put in pass as well. So we will begin from here. We will begin by defining those views. And what I'm going to do next is to head over to the URLs py, where I'm going to import them from Django. Sorry, not from Django, but from .views. We want to import our home view and our main view and our main view async. And here we will create some paths. So the first one is going to be the main one for the home view, and I'm going to set the name home view. Then I'm going to put in the main view. So this is going to be a synchronous view. So I'm going to put in sync and then main view, and the name is going to be sync main view. And the third one is going to be this main view async. So let me just copy this, put it over here. We will have some changes, of course. Instead of sync, we will have async, and here I'm going to put in async as well, and the main view async will come over here. All right, so right now what we can do is to return to our views.py file. I'm not going to create a separate utils.py file for the helper functions. I'm just going to keep the views over here, and at the top we will define some helper functions. I'm going to call them funcs, and we will do this in just a second. But for now, let's import time, and let's focus on this main view. Okay, so here I'm going to create a variable called start time, and this is going to be time.time. So it will measure our time from here, and then we will have here we will put later on some helper functions, but right now we can put in total, and this is going to be our time.time minus the start time. Okay, and we can simply print out the total, and let's also return the HTTP response, which will be sync. Okay, so now we have start time, we are calculating the total, we are printing the total. Let's maybe add here total. Okay, sorry, total. Let's save this and let's go to check this out. I'm going to see if the server is running. It's running, so let's go to the browser, and we want to go to sync, and we have sync. Let's see, at the total, it's a very small number at this particular moment. So I think it's a very good time to work on some helper functions. We will define some helper functions, we will take a look at this main view again, and then we will take a look at the total time, and then we will think how we can improve it with the async approach, with this main view async, which will basically do the same thing but a little bit better. So let's define the helper functions, and we will have get movies function and get stories function. So I will define them at the top. the first one will be get movies, and the other one will be get stories. Okay, and yeah, let's start by writing a print statement. Here we can put in prepare to get the movies. So here we are preparing to get the movies. Then we can put in time sleep 2 seconds. So we will block the execution for 2 seconds, and then we will go to another block where we will define a query set, and we will write movie, but we need to import our movie and story. So we want to write down from movies dot models, we want to import our movie, and from stories dot models, we want to import our story. So here, let's put in movie objects all, and let's print out our query set. And then let's move to the next line where we will print a confirmation that got all the movies. All right, so now I'm going to take this and put it over here and prepare to get the stories time sleep 2. Then we have QS story instead of movie, and then got all the stories. But this time the time sleep won't be 2 seconds, let's do it 5. Okay, so now what we need to do is to bring get movies and get stories into our main view. So I'm going to put in get movies and then get stories. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to head over to home, and now I'm going to head over to sync, and it's loading, it's loading, it's loading. And how long do you think it's loading? Let's take a look at what do we have here. We have about 7 seconds. Okay, so if I refresh, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, oh yeah, it's like about 7 seconds of loading. And let me do it one more time, and let's see what's going on over here. So we have prepared to get the movies, we are getting the movies. Here are the movies. We have a confirmation that we got all the movies, and then we are jumping to get the stories. So we are preparing to get the stories. Here are our stories, and here is a confirmation that we got all the stories, and in total it took us around 7 seconds. Okay, so this is the ordinary approach. Now let's take a look at the improved approach. Okay, so we will be talking about this main view async. So first of all, let's go back to the documentation, and here we have that if you want to call a part of Django that is still synchronous, like the ORM, you will need to wrap it in sync to async decorator. Okay, so I'm going to grab this because we are going to import this wrapper, and I'm going to put it at the very top. And I didn't copy it, sorry about that. Let me try it out again, and let's paste it. And now what I'm going to do is to copy this as well and put it over here. So right now we will have get movies async and get stories async, and nothing else will change over here, but we need to use this sync to async decorator on them. So I'm going to apply it over here and over here. Okay, so right now we can change this function to be async. And what we need to do over here is to put in at the very front async. And I don't know why it's not highlighting the nice way as it is on my laptop, but for now I'm not going to worry about this. And then I'm going to grab this code, this line of code, put it over here. And the next step will be to go all the way to the top and import, or we can do it in one line next to time. Let's put in asyncio. All right, and right now we can create a task. So I'm going to show you two ways how we can use, for example, those helper functions to work side by side. The first one will be task to define tasks. So task one will be equal to asyncio and then ensure future. And here we will put in get movies async. And the other one will be task 2, and this is going to be asyncio and ensure future, and then put in get stories async. All right, and then we need to await asyncio wait and put it as a list task 1 and task 2. And then we can grab in the total and print the total and actually return the HTTP response. So here we just need to change it to async. Okay, so we will walk what's going to happen, what's happening over here, but first let's see the actual result. So I'm going to save this. In the URLs py we have it defined as async, so actually let's jump into async right now. Async, and it's loading, and we have async. So let's take a look at the performance. Now as you can see we have 5 seconds, so I'm just going to grab this, put it over here so we can see the difference. Here we have 5 seconds, and if we go to sync, we have 7 seconds, and we will understand why in just a second. Let me put it over here. Okay, so let's compare these two. So I'm going to first of all, let's remember ourselves how the ordinary main view worked. So we were where is it? Let me run it one more time. So we are preparing to get the movies. Here are our movies, and then we got all the movies. And then we are preparing to get the stories. Here are our stories, okay? Here are our stories, and then we got all the stories. So we were preparing the movies, we got the movies, and then we simply have a confirmation that we got all the movies, and then we took care of the stories. But if we take a look at async right now, it will be a little bit different. So here we are preparing to get the movies and preparing to get the stories. And then we have all the movies, and then we got all the stories, and the time is a little bit over 5 seconds. And the reason why is with this construction, with this async await, we are running those tasks side by side. Okay, so if we take a look at the get movies and get stories, here we have time of 5 seconds. Okay, so basically this and this work side by side, and after 5 seconds we have a confirmation that we got all the stories, and before, of course, we have a confirmation that we got all the movies. So in this way we are saving over to seconds. And now let's have a look at this um, this particular async function with the async await, so we can understand what actually async await does. So basically changing this main view async function to async await, we are creating a coroutine, and the most important thing over here is how this works. So with async await, we are here we wrote with the await that we are waiting for task 1 and task 2, and we created those tasks with ensure future. So those two tasks are working right now side by side, and this block of code and this block of code won't be executed until we have task 1 and task 2 finished, and of course the HTTP response won't be executed as well. That's why we have this this wait time. Okay, so if we go to the browser, let's see if it's 5 seconds. So I'm going to refresh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, probably something around 5 seconds. But here we were already at async, so let me go to home and then go to async again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, something like 5 seconds. Okay, and then if we go to sync, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so it takes longer. And one more time, with this async await and this await asyncio wait, we are basically taking those tasks that we created with ensure future, and we are running them basically side by side, and we are awaiting for them to be finished. And until they aren't finished, we aren't executing those lines of code. So this is why we have this await statement. And this is, of course, one way to do it. I'm going to show you now another maybe simpler way. For sure it will be shorter, so I'm just going to comment this out, and instead of defining the tasks, we will be using asyncio getter. So I'm going to put in await and then asyncio getter, and we are going to put in get movies async and then get stories async. All right, and this will work in the same way. So I'm going to save this, going to head over to home and then put in async 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have the same results. But instead of creating 3 lines of code, we basically just put in one single line of code, where to the getter we passed our helper functions. Okay, so one thing that it's very important is that if you want to simply proceed with the execution of the code, you need to create tasks like we did over here and simply wait for them to be finished, or you can simply use this asyncio getter, which will do it basically for us. Okay, so this is how it's working. So we can see the result that with the async it's better, but there are still a lot of things that we can do. This is just a basic introduction, and frankly speaking, I'm very excited about the future. I'm very excited what kind of functionalities will the new versions bring, how they will make our lives easier and our code work simply better. So I hope for all of you that didn't quite get this async await and how async views work, this concept is a little bit more understandable. I will finish off over here. Thanks for watching. This week I'm hoping to publish 3 more videos. So one will be about custom comments. This will be quite a fun and easy one. And then the other one will be I think 14th part of the social network project, and the final one will be the 4th part of the Django with artificial intelligence project. Alright guys, so hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Have a great day and bye bye.